Okay, class, this is a quick run through on question 10 from your chapter 6 regular homework. The first question asks you to compute the unit product cost using the variable costing system. So that will include only the variable items, direct materials, direct labor, and variable manufacturing overhead. So when I add those three items up, I will enter that $80 in materials, $20 in labor, and $10 in variable manufacturing overhead. I would enter that amount into the unit product cost, check my work, and see that that is correct. Requirement 2 asks you to calculate the income statement contribution format using the variable costing system. So I'll use that 110 when I calculate my cost of goods sold. It says that they sold 8,700 units. So I will multiply 8,700, the number of units sold, by the price I am selling each item for, which is listed at the very top of your problem. Each item is being sold for $300. So I multiply the product sales price by the number of units sold, and that would be the revenue amount that I enter into the income statement. So when I multiplied the number of units sold by the sales price per unit was 2,610,000. I enter that on the income statement as the sales amount. The next drop down you should select is the variable expenses, and then I will multiply the amount we said each item cost us to make on the variable costing system. So your answer from requirement 1 helps you compute the cost of goods sold. So for the variable cost of goods sold, you would multiply the cost per unit, which we said in requirement 1 was $110, by the number of units sold. So 110 multiplied by 8,700. Just going to show you that that was the number of units sold up at the top. That will go in this box, 110 multiplied by 8,700. The next box would list the variable selling and administrative cost, which is given in the problem as $30 per unit. We'll multiply that by the number of units that they have sold. They sold 8,700 units on my problem. So I'm going to enter the amount of variable selling cost here, and it automatically calculates the total variable cost for me. I don't see anything else listed up here as variable. This drop down should be the contribution margin. So when I subtract all the variable expenses from the sales, it gives me the contribution margin. And then I'm going to list any fixed expenses. At the top of your problem, it will give you the two fixed expenses, fixed manufacturing overhead and fixed selling and administrative cost. Both are given in the problem, so you just need to pull those amounts down from the top of the problem here. Mine is 160,000 and 1.2 million. And then I can double check this. At the very bottom, I need to make sure and select the net operating income. So I will check my work on the income statement. If I knew the amounts, I clicked the wrong drop down, so it's good. That should say variable selling and administrative to check your work. So then on the final requirement of this problem, it has me calculate my requirement 3 break even. In terms of the number of barbecues sold, the calculation for break even in units is the fixed cost divided by the contribution margin per unit. So your contribution margin per unit is the selling price given at the very first part of the problem. I'll scroll up so you can see where I got that $300. Right up here it says 300. I will subtract off the variable cost, including the variable selling and administrative. So I'm going to take 300 minus 140. So my contribution margin per unit is 160. I will divide that into the total fixed cost. The total fixed costs are 1,360,000 divided by, we said our contribution margin per unit was 160. So my break-even point is 8,500 units. We'll check that with my last check my work, and we should be good to go.